there is a back-to-back Super Bowl champion, and it is the Kansas City Chiefs.
I want to get 3, though.
We get a chance to do it 3 times in a row. How do you get excited for that, baby?
We came here to do a good job. Yeah! We got to show everybody who we really are.
You can dislike and disrespect the Chiefs. You're going to have to deal with the Chiefs.
No one's ever done it in the NFL, winning 3 in a row. It's a goal for any athlete is to try to win as many championships as possible, and I'm just going to continue to fight day in and day out to get as many as I can.
How about those Kansas City Chiefs? They're trying to make history as the first team to win 3 consecutive Super Bowl titles. In fact, of the 8 prior back-to-back Super Bowl winners, none even made it to the Super Bowl in their attempt for a three-peat, and 3 of the 8 missed the playoffs entirely. Well, the Kansas City Chiefs probably heard about that, and they said, let's try to even add to our offense. It was already an offense that won the Super Bowl, though you would say that it was more Patrick Mahomes than it was anybody else, right? They've added Hollywood Brown. They added tight end Irv Smith. They've added, of course, Xavier Worthy in the draft, which I think, for me, I'm even more excited about him than Hollywood Brown. You see the Chiefs on the field right now, and when you think about the expectations that are going to be around this team, Dan, obviously it's to win the Super Bowl once again, to three-peat. But I think the scary thing is they were a Chiefs team last year that at times had us scratching our heads, and yet they still won the Super Bowl.
They were bad in offense for most of the year last year. And the great part is 15-87. Think about what they went through last year. Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce. And are we going to be good enough? And, man, the field feels so condensed because they have no speed. And, you know, Travis was a little bit uncharacteristic with the drops. Imagine being in that conversation right now going, dude, you're going to have more space than you've had over the last 2 years. Because of who you mentioned, Xavier Worthy and Hollywood Brown, Travis is going to be able to work the middle of the field, and Patrick's going to be able to throw the ball downfield. As much as he's adjusted his game to, okay, I got to dink and dunk underneath and whatnot, especially when the defense demands of it, I've now got a great offensive line, and I've got Travis Kelce still, and I finally have some speed that we can throw the ball downfield to and threaten the ball downfield, and then Travis is going to be able to work. The only question I have, really about the football team, you see Wanye Morris right there at left tackle. Who is going to be their left tackle? Now, both of their tackles struggled last year, and they won the Super Bowl, but that's the only question I have about the team.
Yeah, you know what? The rookie out of BYU, Kingsley Suamataia, they love him.
Yeah.
And he was a hell of a recruit when he was at BYU. He is a tremendous athlete. I remember talking to Brett Veach, the GM, in the offseason. He said, look, Lou, just keep an eye on Kingsley. We do a great job of developing offensive linemen around here.
They get him in the 3rd or 4th round.
Like he was,
felt like a steal based on
let me see.
what they're saying about him.
But I'm just saying, athletically, I mean, he has all the tools, long arms, powerful, good feet. And Andy loves developing these types of guys. And everything you say about the offense is true. I just want to shine some light on the work that this team has done over the past 2 years in the draft on the defensive side. The 22 draft is really what set this team up on the defensive side. Just think about these names, like in the secondary: Trent McDuffie, Jalen Watson, Joshua Williams, Brian Cook, Najee Johnson, Leo Chenal, George Karlaftis. All of these guys in 22, when they beat Philly in the Super Bowl, they all played some kind of role.
Yeah.
That's right.
They all played, and they won the Super Bowl.
I think they led the NFL in minutes played by rookies that season on the defensive side.
And then they come back in the second year of their career, and they go, hey, we're going to win another one.
Wild, yeah.
So when people say, you know what, are you going to really miss Legere? Look, Snead is a great player. They also drafted and developed him.
Yeah.
And here's the thing about Kansas City. They continue to really not lose their coordinators. The core of the coaching staff stays the same. And remember this name. I think we talked about David Merritt last year, maybe on this show, the defensive back coach, one of the brilliant minds in football. This team is set again. A three-peat is right there.
It's real.
You mentioned the continuity at the coordinator position. We have Steve Spagnuolo on the defensive side in his 6th straight season as the Chiefs defensive coordinator. We have Matt Nagy in his 3rd straight season. And we mentioned the questions on the offensive line, left tackle in particular. But let's keep in mind, as great as Patrick Mahomes is, and he's got a chance to go down as arguably the best quarterback in NFL history, he is coming off a year in which he had a career-low 7 yards per attempt last year. He had a career low in total QBR last year, 63. He had a career high in interceptions with 14. By his standards, he was off. Now, I don't know whether that's the offensive line or the wide receiver. And his credit,
they led the NFL in
so
drops.
many
his
drops.
credit, he was good enough to go win the Super Bowl.
Right.
When he played at his worst at the NFL level.
And Travis Kelce stepped it up in the postseason, certainly.
time.
Dan, I'm curious your opinion on this, because you got to think they're in the postseason. We're saying they could potentially, maybe likely, three-peat. Sure. Can they kind of save Kelce a little bit? Like, keep him healthy throughout the season, rely on other guys, have him almost spot
Yeah, I think
play
they're
in
one of
some
those teams that knows they'll be playing in January and
Right.
February. So Andy Reid really does like a great job of, making sure that they're building. And that was the thing last year that they kept talking about, both Andy and Patrick, was just building and making sure they're playing their best. And I think you'll see Travis just make sure that he manages, himself September, October, November, so he's again at that peak when they go on the run. I think because a lot of that depends on Rashee Rice and what's his situation.
The investigation's ongoing, and the NFL isn't going to hand down any discipline until the investigation is complete. I don't know how long it's going to take to finish the investigation, but it seems like it's going to take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Which, if it does, it could mean that he's available this season for the majority of the season, if not all of the season, and that he wouldn't face any discipline, which I think everybody expects to be coming. The only question is, when does it come?
Yeah.
And it may not be this year. We don't know yet.
Yeah, I think as far as the perimeter edge players on offense, when you're talking about trying to save Travis, they see that the clock is ticking for him. Even though he says, look, I'm going to play until the wheels fall off, and you would assume Travis, what did they do in the draft this year? They draft Jared Wiley in the 4th round out of TCU.
Yeah.
Former quarterback, long, lanky. And talking to Brett about him around the draft, he said, look, this is a guy we're going to have to build him up and get him to come on. He's a great receiving prospect. They have their eye on the future. They know that this run with Travis isn't going to last forever, and they have to continue to restock and get body types in there. They've done it on the offensive line. They're set. They've done it on the defensive line. They're set. Secondary, rock solid. Linebacker, solid. But those offensive perimeter players, they've been there's kind of been a little bit of a revolving door. What does Sky Moore do this year?
Sure.
Yeah.
What do they do with Kadarius Toney?
Expect him to step up, Sky Moore, or not, Luke?
I think he has to. I mean, you see Kadarius Toney getting reps at running back.
Yeah.
They're just trying to figure out a way to use him.
Right.
So, yeah.
Hold on to the ball.
What the cool thing, though, is when you got 15, it's just like, hey, you know what? Let's just try this.
It covers
Let's
up
try that.
so much.
He's the ultimate eraser of anybody else's mistakes. He did it all along last season in the lead up to a Super Bowl. And another thing, too, you got Chris Jones back. That defense, really, you could say, was the reason why they actually won it all.
Totally.
Coming up here on Back Together Weekend, we head back out to the practice fields. We're going to go to the Bears practice field next. You get to see Caleb Williams, the #1 overall pick, out there. We